Mr. Selvaprakash Lakshmanan has carved a niche for himself in the field of editorial and documentary photography. He has demonstrated that it is possible to do long-term projects through extensive research, patience and perseverance, of following a story for a long term and seeing how the story evolves and changes. Let us hear from him about his experiences and learn from them.
So when you do editorial portraits, so you will shoot more options. The options are vertical, horizontal and wide and tight, mid-range, full length. So you will shoot multiple options, and you will also shoot in a different backgrounds. Sometimes you will shoot some plain background, sometimes some interesting background. So when you come back from a shoot, like at least you will have some 4-5 options, and each options you will have 20 to 25 images. And so you can see in those days on a film, while we were shooting in film, we call it as a contact sheet. Contact sheet is a sheet where you can see all the frames which we exposed in a single roll, and from there you will pick up the whichever the best image you think, that will be selected, and then that will be enlarged and printed. Like that, in a digital era, you will download and then you subcategorize into each different approaches, like a different background and full lens and close-ups. You put different subfolder, and then you will select whichever the image is good, and you select those things and color correct and send back to your publication for their publishing purpose. So that's the important thing when you do editorial portrait. Make sure you will shoot more options. That will helps the photo editor or editor to choose the right image in terms of design and in terms of the headlines of the story. So editorial assignment, there are different types of assignment comes. One is you will get a brief, you go and shoot a specific subject or a specific news angle for already some stories written by the writer. So that you will get a kind of a brief. So you will read the brief, and then you go to the location and you take a picture for that specific story, and you come back with the image. So it is very important to read the brief of the story, because if the story talks about pain and suffer, then the image has to convey that. If the story talks about happy and peaceful and things like that, then the image has to convey that. So that is very important. We call that is a synergy. There should be a synergy between your photo and the text, or photo and the story which is published in a newspaper or a magazine. That is a one way, like you go by yourself and do and come back and file the picture according to your photo brief. Other one is like you travel with a writer, and both will go to the location, and the journalist will take notes, and then they talk to the people, and simultaneously you will also shoot different images. So that time you should have tell the reporter what is the kind of image you are getting it, and you can also do little bit of interaction with the journalist whenever the time permits, because then you will know what is the angle of the story, because both are in the field and reporter might not know what is the direction of the story, what is the point of view, is he got some important information while he talking to the people, or the other way around. Sometimes you probably find some interesting information while you are shooting. If you inform them, I got this particular picture, can you talk to them, then if they get interviewed, and then it is easy to tell that when you publish the story you can use that image. If you are not talking to them, talking to the reporter, and then probably they might not writing about the specific thing which you shot, then probably there is a higher chance that particular picture might not be get published. So this synergy is very important, and you talk to the reporter and the reporter talk to you, and this relationship helps you to get a better image. So what is the take from here is talk to the journalist on the field whenever the time permits, and then trying to understand the direction of the story, and is there any important information. If the writer found it, please get those information and trying to find out is there any way to capture that specific important thing which he or she found it on the location. When you are working for a newspaper or for a photojournalist, people, you might have a question what kind of equipment I should carry, or what kind of equipment a photojournalist have. So my answer is, if you are working for a newspaper or if you are a photojournalist, keep your equipment very minimal, because you are running around for the whole day. So you can't carry too much equipment. So basically there is a 3 lenses which is very important, and that is a triology lens, which is 1635 mm lens, and 2470 lens, 7200 lens. These are the 3 important lens, and a flash, which because you don't know what kind of a light condition you end up, or different time of the day you probably you need to photograph different things. So you should have a small flash within you. This is on one body, or some if the newspaper provide you another body, it's good to have a 2 body. So you can keep one lens with a wide angle and one with a tele lens, so that you can immediately change your focal length without missing any actions. So keep your equipment very minimal, which helps you to move around. And if you have a 2 body, it is always recommended, that will helps you to quickly change different focal length without changing the lens. That saves a lot of time. At the same time, you won't miss anything. Yeah, newspaper photography and magazine photographies are totally different, because the nature of the media itself different. Newspaper have every day evening, every day night you have a deadline. So you have to file the images on the same day, whatever you get it from that specific event or an assignment. And the frequency of assignment also really high in a newspaper. Sometimes a newspaper photographer have 4 to 5 assignment in a single day. So you can't or she can't spend too much time in an assignment. So largely they will take a main or an important image of an event, say like if it is a function, probably the newspaper photographer end up of shooting, lighting a lamp, or like inaugurating a exhibition or inaugurating a new place. The main image they will shoot and come and file it. But or in an accident, and they will go and shoot the accident site and rescuing the people. That's the kind of an image the newspaper photographer take and then file it on the same day, and that appears in the next day morning. But where in a magazine, the frequency is different, and some magazines are weekly and some magazines are 15 days once and a monthly magazine. So the timeline is different. So that the newspaper already published whatever the spot news is already published in the newspaper, people have already seen those images. So you have to write a different story or a different angle about the same event. So the photograph photo also has to tell a different angle of the story or a different issue of the story. So example, again the same, if it is a flight accident, in a newspaper they will publish the accident site and a rescuing operation, where in a magazine they will do an interview of the survivors, victim families and expert opinion. So the photographer has to take a portrait of the officials and things like that. So in terms of time, magazine photographer have more time to work on stories, whereas a newspaper have a very limited time, and you have to file it whatever you got it. You can't wait for get a right image or something like that, because your deadline is very important in a newspaper, and in a magazine you have a very flexible deadline. So in a way, like a magazine photographer have more creative freedom than a newspaper photographer. Newspaper and magazine both carry photo features, but the kind of a time which gives the newspaper is very, very little. And even I worked in some of the national newspaper where they give one day you have to file one photo story, which is really, really very less time. So you have to do your regular assignments and then you have to do a photo story. And they also take images from different photography. In a same city, if you have 5-6 photographers, they will ask you to shoot a same story or a theme. You come up with a different image, and then with like a pool of 20-25 images from 5-6 photographers, they will select 10 images and they run it in a single page. But where in a magazine, as I said, you have a more creative freedom and you have a relaxed deadline. So you have a time to work on a story for a week or a 15 days or a month. Even some of the anniversary issues and which is the special issues have they plan 3 months before or 4 months before. So you can propose some of the photo story. While I was working with Time Out magazine, our anniversary issues are very, very important issues, and we make sure the important photo story is going to be published in each anniversary issue. So one of the issues we plan to shoot the vanishing traders. It's basically disappearing professionals. So that's an idea we proposed, and can we trying to document. We have 3 photographers. We plan to document the vanishing traders, the disappearing professionals, and then we have an editorial meet, and then they finalize that idea. But they asked what is the kind of a visual language and visual consistency we are going to follow in a specific story, because vanishing traders is a well known subject and many people already documented. How this is going to be unique than the existing story. So we said like we can keep some unique visual consistency, and we finally thought of shooting them in a late evening monsoon light, so where the sky is really blue in color, and we trying to shot them under the street light, so which gives you a very different texture, so that looks really visually stunning. So we shot some 12 different disappearing professionals, and we ran a 9-page photo story, so which is possible in a magazine, but newspaper don't have that long duration for a long duration to work on a photo story.
In this lesson, we have met a versatile photojournalist, Mr. Selvaprakash Lakshmanan, who has shown how he has tackled a diverse kind of work, and his portfolio includes portraits, lifestyle, architecture, interior, product, food, along with editorial and documentary photography. This indicates that we don't have to limit ourselves to one genre of work or one field or one specialization. If you're interested, you can explore different kinds of creative expression, different kinds of topics and themes and areas, and try out your photography skills so that you can represent the world through visual journalism or photography. We hope that you've enjoyed listening to him and also learnt, and it has inspired you to take on your journey as a photojournalist.